Welcome to the Sci-fi. I'm James, your narrator. Make sure you subscribe to our channel for more stories. Sigma 20, one of the most important space travel hubs in the known universe, was a veritable melting pot of alien species and human travelers. It buzzed with activity as ships docked and departed, transporting goods and passengers across the stars. Humans had earned their place among the stars, coexisting with various alien species, admired for their advanced technology but also envied. Though relations were peaceful, there was always an undercurrent of jealousy from some races. Tom Hansen was not a diplomat, soldier, or genius scientist. He was just a regular guy, an intergalactic tradesman from an age-old American company who hopped from hub to hub, delivering cargo and looking for the next job. Sigma 20 was just another stopover, a place to rest, grab a drink, and wait for his connecting flight. He had been on his feet for days, and the idea of sitting down with a cold drink appealed to him more than anything else. Tom strolled through the bustling corridors, his duffel bag slung over his shoulder, eyes scanning for a decent lounge. The hub was massive, filled with kiosks, shops, and lounges where travelers could unwind. He passed by a few groups of aliens, mostly friendly species he recognized, and smiled to himself. It was still surreal sometimes to be so far from Earth, surrounded by creatures who had once only existed in human imagination. As Tom meandered through the crowds, two sets of eyes watched him closely from across the hall. Men and Cal, two Alsis females, had been at Sigma 20 for a few days. The Alsis were a humanoid race distinguished by their vibrant blue skin and their graceful features. Men and Cal were beautiful like any standard, and they'd entered the fertile age for their species just recently, sparking their intense curiosity about human males. Rumors had spread among their people that human men were incredible lovers, passionate, attentive, and able to satisfy their alien partners in ways no other species could. This had intrigued men and Cal to no end. For days, they had tried to flirt with human men, but it had been a disaster. Every man they approached had turned out to be married or otherwise uninterested. They were frustrated, confused as to why their considerable charms weren't working. But today they had spotted Tom Hansen. "Look at him," Cal whispered, her eyes gleaming. "He's perfect." Men nodded in agreement, sizing him up from head to toe. "Definitely. He looks strong, and I bet he's not married. Let's go for it." Cal giggled. "All right, but we need to make sure we don't mess this up like before. We need a plan." Men thought for a moment, then her eyes lit up mischievously. "What if we pretend we're in trouble? He'll feel obligated to help us, right? Humans love playing the hero." Cal grinned. "Yes, that'll work. Let's say we were attacked by the Gawa." The Gawa were a monstrous alien race known for their terrifying appearance and ferocity in battle, though everyone knew they were nowhere near this sector. But Tom didn't need to know that. Excited, the girls quickly formulated their plan. They discarded most of their clothing, leaving only the bare essentials, revealing their smooth blue skin. It wasn't unusual for Alsis to show a lot of skin, but this time they knew they were turning heads, and that was exactly what they wanted. With a final look at each other, they dashed into the main hall, shrieking in feigned terror. "Help! We're being attacked!" men cried out. Cal followed suit, wailing, "The Gawa are here. They attacked us." The crowd turned to stare, but no one moved. Most of the onlookers were either too confused or too used to strange happenings in the hub to get involved. But Tom, hearing the commotion, felt his instincts kick in. He sprinted toward the two blue-skinned women who had thrown themselves onto the floor, shaking and holding each other, their scant clothing torn in convenient places to suggest a struggle. Tom skidded to a stop beside them, his breath coming fast. "What's going on? Are you okay?" Men's wide eyes locked onto his. "We were attacked. The Gawa. They were right here. But they ran off when they saw you." Tom frowned, confusion knitting his brow. "The Gawa? Here? That doesn't make sense. They're not supposed to be anywhere near." Cal interrupted, throwing her arms around him. "Thank you. You scared them off. We were so terrified. You saved us." Tom, still bewildered, tried to process what was happening. He looked around, expecting to see signs of destruction or panic, but everything seemed normal. The crowd had already started to disperse, apparently unconvinced by the girls' theatrics. "Are you sure it was the Gawa?" Tom asked, still trying to make sense of their story. But before he could get a straight answer, men reached up and grabbed his collar, pulling him down toward her. "Thank you so much for saving us," she whispered, her lips brushing his as she kissed him full on the mouth. Tom's eyes widened in shock. He froze, unsure of what to do. Men's kiss was soft and warm, but before he could pull away, Cal leaned in and kissed his neck, her hands sliding up his chest. Tom's heart raced. This was happening so fast he could barely think straight. "Whoa, wait, hold on a second," Tom stammered, trying to gently push them back, but Men and Cal were having none of it. They clung to him, their blue skin pressed against his, their touches insistent. "Please, we need to thank you properly," Cal purred, her hands roaming lower. Tom was flustered, his face turning red. This really isn't necessary. I mean, I'm just glad you're okay." Men laughed softly, her breath hot against his ear. "You don't understand. We want to show you how grateful we are." Before Tom could protest further, the girls had dragged him to his feet and were pulling him toward a nearby lounge area, away from prying eyes. He barely had time to grab his duffel bag as they guided him into a quiet, dimly lit corner of the hub. The lounge was designed for resting travelers, with plush couches and soft lighting. Tom found himself pushed onto one of the couches, the girls surrounding him, their bodies pressing close. He felt like he was caught in a whirlwind, his mind reeling from the sudden and overwhelming attention. Cal straddled his lap, her blue skin gleaming under the soft lights. "You're so strong," she murmured, running her hands over his chest. "We've been looking for a human like you." Men knelt beside him, her fingers tracing along his jawline. "We've heard that human men are amazing partners. Is it true?" Tom opened his mouth to respond, but no words came out. He was completely overwhelmed. This had to be a dream, right? Or maybe a side effect of all the space travel messing with his head. He had never been in a situation like this before, and his brain couldn't quite keep up with what was happening. The girl's hands were everywhere, exploring his body with a mix of curiosity and desire. Men giggled as she fumbled with the zipper of his jacket, while Cal pressed her lips to his neck, her breath hot against his skin. Tom's head spun. Part of him knew this was absurd, two beautiful alien women throwing themselves at him in the middle of a busy space hub. But another part of him couldn't deny the way his body was responding to their touch. "Listen, I don't know what you heard about human men, but," he began. But Cal cut him off with a deep kiss, silencing his protests. Her lips were soft and sweet, and despite his confusion, Tom found himself kissing her back. Men grinned, watching them with eager eyes. "See? We knew you'd be perfect." Before long, their playful seduction turned into something more intense. The girls, though clumsy in their approach, were determined, their hands moving with increasing confidence. Tom found himself caught up in the moment, his initial resistance melting away as the heat between them grew. The lounge, once a place of quiet rest, became a scene of passion and playful chaos. Men accidentally knocked over a tray of drinks in her enthusiasm, sending glasses clattering to the floor. Cal made a clumsy attempt at whispering human love phrases she had picked up from Holovids, which only made Tom laugh between kisses. Despite the awkwardness, there was a connection, an undeniable chemistry that neither Tom nor the Alsa's girls could ignore. What had started as a ridiculous and somewhat silly attempt at seduction turned into an unforgettable encounter. After what felt like hours, the three of them lay tangled together on the couch, breathless and satisfied. The room was quiet save for their soft breathing. Tom stared up at the ceiling, still trying to wrap his head around what had just happened. This had to be the strangest layover of his life. Men sat up first, brushing her hair back and smiling down at him. "You were everything we hoped for," she said, her voice soft and filled with gratitude. Cal nodded in agreement. "Thank you, Tom, for everything." Tom chuckled, shaking his head in disbelief. "I think I should be thanking you. I mean, that was, wow." The girls exchanged a satisfied look, then leaned in to kiss him one last time before gathering their clothes and slipping back into them with casual grace. Tom sat up, still dazed and trying to collect himself. He glanced at Men and Cal, who were now back in their minimal clothing, looking as if nothing unusual had happened. They stood before him, still smiling but with a hint of playfulness lingering in their eyes. "Well," Tom said, clearing his throat, "I'm glad I could help, though I'm not sure scaring off imaginary Gawa counts as heroics." Cal giggled, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Oh, we know the Gawa weren't really here, but we needed a good excuse to get your attention." She winked. Tom's eyebrows shot up. "Wait, so this whole thing, you weren't really in danger?" Men shook her head, her smile widening. "Nope, we just wanted a chance to meet a human like you up close." She winked, then continued. "We didn't think you'd notice us if we just said hello, so we improvised." Tom ran a hand through his hair, still processing everything. "Wow, that's a first." You really went all out. Cal stepped closer, brushing her fingers against his arm. It worked, didn't it? Tom couldn't help but laugh, shaking his head. Yeah, I guess it did. For a moment, they stood there in comfortable silence. Tom glanced out the window of the lounge, watching the ships come and go, and wondered how this particular encounter would rank in the long list of strange stories he had accumulated during his travels. Well, Men said, breaking the silence, we should probably get going before anyone starts to wonder where we are. Cal nodded in agreement, though she hesitated, glancing at Tom one last time. Will we see you again, Tom? We wouldn't mind another encounter like this. Tom grinned, his usual laid-back nature kicking in again. I don't know. Maybe next time don't pretend to be attacked by space monsters. Cal's eyes sparkled mischievously. No promises. Men leaned in and kissed him on the cheek, her lips soft and warm against his skin. Take care of yourself, Tom. You never know, maybe we'll need saving again someday. Tom chuckled as they turned to leave. Just make sure it's a real emergency next time. As they walked away, their hips swaying with confidence, Tom leaned back against the couch, watching them disappear into the crowd. He let out a long sigh, feeling both exhilarated and drained at the same time. What a day! For a moment he just sat there, replaying the entire encounter in his head. It was hard to believe that just a short while ago he had been minding his own business, looking for a place to grab a drink. Now he had a story that would top anything his friends back on Earth or any other station could come up with. He finally stood up, straightened his shirt, and grabbed his duffel bag. There was still time to get that drink before his next flight, and after everything that had happened, he felt like he had earned it. As he made his way toward one of the nearby lounges, he couldn't help but chuckle to himself. Humans might not be the most powerful or advanced species in the galaxy, but if there was one thing Tom had learned today, it was that they certainly had a reputation worth living up to. And if alien babes were going to keep pleading for help like that, well, maybe being a hero wasn't so bad after all.